welcome everyone. Serona Rose here, and I wanted to pop on here to give you all a very quick Astro update. I know you probably just watched my show, and if you didn't know about it or you missed it, it airs every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. on fringetv.online. So you'll want to check that out. Then you can get the astrology report fresh off the press. So I have a few things I want to discuss because, as you know, I can't always put everything in that report. I only have a short amount of time to share with you all that's going on in our celestial heavens. And I do like to come back and add a few more things that can help us out when we are tracking through these energies, when we are doing this, this hero's journey, okay? Now, first off, today is the 18th, and Mercury is going direct today. He is stationing and going direct at 8 degrees and 8 seconds of Capricorn. So what does this mean? Well, number 8 is a very powerful number. It's the number of leadership. It is about dedication, abundance. It's about having a vision. It looks like an infinity sign, and that represents the universal flow of energy, of how it flows in our world. Now, the number 8 can be materialistic and spiritual. And it measures life by the goals that it reaches. So it's very much like Capricorn in that, because Capricorn is like that as well. Now, the biggest thing here is that the number 8 is about a balance, is about finding that harmony, like right there in the middle of that, of the number 8, or the infinity sign, right in the middle, of finding that balance of the spiritual and the material. So when we look at the number 8 in a tarot card, that's the strength card. And that is about balancing our animalistic, our instinctual energy with our human side. It's having the grace to sit with that, and having the courage to balance those, to understand that each of those serves its purpose, but we have to use discernment into when to act on which. But with number 8, this tells us that with balance and stability, that is when we can have the most productive creation. So balance and stability. Again, this is a number of leadership. Now in Capricorn, Capricorn is a number, is a sign of leadership. And that is, Capricorn is determination, it's career, and it's about self-responsibility. It's about the responsibility you have in your close-knit area, the home, those things. Now, the energy here, from what I'm feeling from this, is that it's giving us that courage to kind of step up in our light and step up into our life purpose. There's a lot of people, the past few years has been very hard for a lot of people, and it has helped many to find their life purpose, to get more in touch with themselves, to tap in deeper to the spiritual realm. It's like they knew it was there. They just have to learn how to get there. And the time away from everyone allowed us to take time to have that reflection that we needed, and that time to really get down and decide what is valuable for us. So this will help us by giving us more ability to focus on things, and to stay on track with what we are doing. Wednesday, it's Mercury, and also the moon. The moon moves into Capricorn later, and that's making the energy more dynamic. So as the day goes on, so it'll be Wednesday night, the moon is moving into Capricorn, and she's getting ready to have to be new, to begin her new cycle in a few days. So Mars is also, he went direct on the 12th, which was last week, and he is at 8 degrees of Gemini during this time as well. So this again, this is igniting the energy for us to step up into our roles, into who we are, our life purpose. It's not enough to know now. It's now time to act on it. It's time to put your teaching and your knowledge to work. All this time, we've been studying, we've been preparing, we've been, putting things together, and now it's more about walking that talk instead of talking it. Now, another thing that's happening between today and the new moon on Friday is that the sun is going to meet up with Pluto. Yes, the sun, the bright sun, is going to meet up with the Lord of the underworld. Now, Pluto is known for destruction. He's known for, he does have a bad rap with that, but he destroys in order to create. He destroys by not saying that this is bad. Now understand, this is not a judgment. It's something that is old and outdated. It's not really used anymore, and it's not really doing good for the whole. So it's time to get rid of it, and let's create something better that will, let's create something better that will be better for the people and work better. Now, this here, this movement, as he is going into Aquarius, we are going to have our new moon on Friday. And this is so close to this time. It's sometimes called a black sun. And that is something that's really, really touching me, because what is a black sun? Well, a black sun is like having your life turned upside down. It's like things that's supposed to be are not. And many of us are going through that. These past few years, a lot of things has been unveiled, a lot of things that have come to the light that were once in the shadows. So we've had a lot of illumination. And one of the things here, because a dark moon is when we go inside. It represents a new cycle. So not only is it a death, it is also a rebirth. So as I sat with this for a moment, as I'm feeling this energy, I'm feeling the sun going through this, I'm thinking about death and how it looks to us in our society. In the United States, we are having our Pluto return. Freudian slip, right? We are having our Pluto return, and this is something it doesn't happen all the time. It's about every 240 years. So the United States is going through this, and this is really big because it's changing a lot of things within our country. It's making us look at our morals, our values, our integrity. It's making us look at a lot of things. Now, also in America, and I'm not really sure about other countries, I just know mostly here, there's really this fascination with anti-aging and it's against aging. And we have this view toward death as being something bad, and you want to avoid it, and there's this big fear of death. And anyone that has ever been through any kind of life-changing event, such as a near-death experience, anything like that, where they're coming toward the end of their life and then they come back, they will all tell you that there's nothing to be afraid of there. It's not what we've been told. So when is the last time that we have fully given space for death? When we have people pass, it's all about getting through it, just rushing through it and healing, and time will heal, but the grief is still there. No one tells you that grief is not going to go away over time. Many people grieve differently. You can grieve for a year, 2 years, etc. It's very different. Healing is different for everyone. But To hold space for death is something that we can't do if we're always fighting against it. And this is acknowledging what happens at death. It's not an ending as we think. It's a transition. It's a transition from this world to the other world. And do we accurately know what's over there? We don't accurately know, because that's stuff that people want to prove. I want to see it. But those of us who have went through certain things, that have been able to see over there, they understand that the difference there. Now, Pluto is in Capricorn, and Capricorn's planet is Saturn. Now, at one time, Saturn was he is known as the ancient opponent of the sun, because if you remember, before Pluto was discovered, it was Saturn that was the boundary. So Saturn was the ruler of darkness before Pluto was discovered. So all that Pluto represents, Saturn represented at one time. Now, Saturn is known today, and that is, of course, according to Eastern modern astrology. I want to add that in there. That is, of course, according to the modern astrology. Now, Saturn gifts us, one of the gifts that he does give us is doubt. He is known as the keeper of time. He is known as our father, of like a father figure, one who sets boundaries. And he can cause doubt to kind of creep in. His presence will gift us with doubt. And what that doubt is, they are obstacles that we must overcome. It can be a moral conundrum. You know, you could be doubting something that you're doing. You could be anything. And things that, it's like things that we thought were solid and whole and stable, we are now learning that they're not. And as simple as it may seem, it can be very complex. And the dark sun here will have us casting, it can, I won't say will, it can have us casting doubt on some things that we thought we knew, that we thought we were sure of, that we thought was our foundation, something that we thought we could believe in, trust in. But, you know, it's not necessarily bad, because by this, it allows us to dive into that form of creativity. Because if this isn't what I thought it was, I need, maybe what work do we need to do? How do we fix this, right? So it allows this space for creation to be born. And this is a sort of death. So, for example, when you're leaving behind the old, many people think, oh, you're moving, or, you're leaving behind the old thoughts or whatever. But this can go into the things that we thought were real, the things we thought were, that we could trust in. And now we've realized that we can't. And that is a death. That is a death to the way that we used to be. We used to feel. Even when you make choices, it is a death to the other. It is a form of a sacrifice. You were sacrificing all of that you did not do. You have two roads to go down, and you choose the one to the right. Well, you sacrifice everything to the left and everything that comes from that. And I'm going to look at the cards in a little bit. I'm going to bring the tarot cards out because I want to show them. I want to, bring them out and show them to you. And so we can see this. We can physically see how this is playing out. So this doubt, it dims. It causes a darkness to come in. It dims the light on those things that we thought was wholesome. Everything, like, finding out this secret or something. You're like, wait a minute, I thought this was, it can be a shocker. It can be quite unsettling. So this is the death of that reality. And when we talk about that, we have to realize that the womb and the tomb sit back to back. Now, when we think about death, many of us have heard about a shaman's death, or even the death and the resurrection. It's a death of the old and a resurrection of a newborn. That was something that was done in the mystery schools thousands of years ago. And shamanism, of course, we've all heard of the shaman death, where, the shaman dismantles himself and then puts himself back together. And, when this happens, you're not the same person. Everybody, I've been hearing people say, I want to go back to the way things were, but we can't, because that's in the past. And that is over. We will not be able to go back there. The thing that we can do is learn from the mistakes. That's why it's so important not to change history. Leave it. Why? Because we need to know these steps that happened in order to get us to the place that we are. This is where the Justice card comes into play. And I'm going to talk about the Justice card here in a minute, because it is the number 11. And the number 11 is the numerology for the new moon. But wait, there's more. This keeps us, when we are not growing, when we are not healing and moving through, we're in stagnation. And I see a lot of people, how they'll get to a certain level in their life, and then it's just like, nope, they know everything. They've read this, that, and the other. I know everything there is to know, and nobody's going to tell me different, and that's it. And never mind to any of the new information that's coming out, into the new findings, the archaeological evidence that's happening. None of them, they will not take in anything. And you can see this across the board. I say archaeology because I read into that, and I can see what some people will say about findings. But anyway, what I'm saying here is that when you are in that ego to where you think you already know everything, and you do not open yourself up to new experiences, that is a form of death. Not a good death, not a death and a resurrection. It is a form of death of creativity. It starts the shutdown process. Stagnation in energy is a shutdown process for our body. So we don't want that. And also, we have to be very, very careful, because, we tend to think that these bad things that happen to us are bad, our perception, right? Maybe we just have to look at it like, say, the hangman. The hangman is upside down. Maybe we need to look at this in a different perspective, because it's telling us more. There's more here to the story. And with that, many times we have to be pushed out of our comfort zones in order to grow, in order to change, in order to step up to a higher purpose, to our higher possibility. So we have to understand all this. It's only when we mess up that we get brought to this low place, right? This vulnerable place. Like if we mess up big time, it's like, oh my goodness, I've messed up big time. And, you've heard a lot of people, that sort of thing. It's only when you reach that bottom there, you understand that Something has to change here. And we're feeling that. But it's in that place to where we can understand compassion. Because when we are down in that, when we are sitting with death, when we are sitting with loss, we can have compassion for everyone that has ever been in that place. And this is simply because of the fact of where we are. We have been humbled. And in that place, we have to understand how limited our time is. And, it's time to make space for forgiveness. It's time to make space to let go. It's forgiving and letting go. Just release it. This is where we find grace and mercy. Even in, when we make mistakes ourselves, that is life-giving, because it teaches us a very important lesson. Number one, it teaches us not to do it that way, right? So, we don't have to condone, but we don't have to condemn either. It is not our place to stand in judgment of someone else. And we have to remember that. We think about Grandmother Spiderweb as she's weaving that web, right? So we can't come from a place that's self-righteous. I am right and you are wrong. We have to be very, very careful of that. And when we descend into the underworld, resurrection is all that is left. If we want to, period. There have been times where, these ancient teachings, they tell us that is a serious thing. And some people went mad with that. Some people did not come back from their journey. So I want to go on a little bit because I want to talk about Venus. And on the 22nd, I do want to say this really quick before we get on to Venus. On the 22nd, Uranus goes direct at 14 degrees of Taurus. So at that time, on the 22nd, when Uranus goes direct, at that time, all planets will be direct until April of 2023. And we are ready to go forward. We're seeing this in our planets. We are moving. Uranus is about rebellion and freedom. It's disruptive. It is very disruptive. So it's the libertarian. It helps us decide what we want and what we don't want. Now, through this, there may be, from those things that we didn't understand after he goes direct, we can have some understanding. Things will come to us. Things will just click. So Uranus does like to move fast. I will say that. And in Taurus, he doesn't move so fast because Taurus is that earth sign. So he helps us define what our values are here. So he is just, maybe we were questioned. Maybe we had some questions going on. We were undecisive. When Uranus goes direct, there's just going to be this click. It's going to be like, yes, I get it now. I get it now. I got that. This could be like a sudden blast of information, a sudden blast of knowledge coming your way somehow. And, all the craziness that Uranus has created, while he was retrograde is now going to, we are now going to have clarification on that. So we will have clarity. And see, Plattern, it will be the planet that's going to go direct in April will, that will be Mercury. Mercury will go retrograde again in April, and then Pluto will follow him, and I believe it's June. So Venus is on the 22nd. Also, Venus conjunct Saturn in Aquarius. This meeting reminds us that the goddess of love and beauty not to take things too far. Venus in Aquarius is hosted by Saturn, and she is traveling through Aquarius. She's open-minded, but she will act Saturnian. She will have that Saturn energy. And Aquarius is a masculine sign. It's fixed, it's air, and it's the middle of the winter. So this is normally would be a wet time. In Capricorn, the sun in Capricorn is cold and dry. So we can see how that the seasons move, how Capricorn is cold and dry. And then we have Aquarius, which is usually a rainy season. But here, this energy will be airy, light, and social. So Saturn is also related to Aquarius. So this is not, it's not going to be a harshness, okay? It's going to be where it's light. It's going to be a light energy. But I will say that, you know, for here, this is the time of year that we look forward to the spring. We look forward to, you know, the water coming and whatnot, to make sure that our fields are getting properly watered so we can get them ready to grow our food and so forth. But I also want to say that, you know, for Saturn in Aquarius, because, you know, he's conjunct Venus there, this is a very expressive place. And Saturn is diversive. I mean, he's not simple. He's very diversive. So this can be like a status quo kind of energy, but operating this way, it's more a positive way. And here, Saturn likes to draw a line between the past and the future. It is like, it's moving beyond the new. Okay? It's like, I know what the status quo is, and yeah, but I want to move beyond that. I want to, Aquarius is freedom. And it wants to get rid, you know, in this placement, it wants to get rid of the structures. Well, Saturn is structured. Saturn says, I will structure what is unstructured. So in that process, we see how we can see how that can be a little diversive when Saturn is in Aquarius, the sun. But here, with him meeting up with Venus, we're going to have to really be careful. We can't take things too far. This can represent like sexually taking things too far, and so forth. So we have to be very careful. So Saturn urges us to get rid of the man, so to speak. That's what Aquarius is like, right? It's like, nope, rebellion. It's us against the man. So Capricorn is the man. He's the governmental. He's the top-down structure. So Saturn is about releasing that archaic past for a brighter future. And remember, this doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means that it's no longer working for us. We want better. Now, I want to talk about this new moon a little bit. I want to mention the astrology. And then I'm going to go into the cards. I'll pull out the tarot cards and I'll show you what is going on. We do have a lot of movement comes up. Saturn will move in Pisces, and that will change, and that will be a 3-year cycle. He'll be in Pisces from March the 7th of 2023 until, I believe, February 2026, something. Anyway, it's a 3-year cycle. So, but I want to talk a little bit. Also, Venus will be moving in Pisces too. And this is, we got to be careful here because this is where we can have a martyr complex. Pisces energy, it reminds me of the Lotus Club. If you've ever watched the movies about, oh my goodness, what is it? Anyway, the Lotus Club, where everybody goes in and they eat the lotus cookies and they just lose track of time. That is what Pisces is. Pisces is the Lotus Club, and we have to really be careful in the sign of Pisces. It's beautiful, it's loving, but it's also about getting lost in those illusions. Remember, you are a co-creator. You are co-creator of your life. And if you're lost in illusions, you're not going to be able to create the life that you want. So I will make a separate post later when I talk more about this time of year, and I'm going to talk about the Kaliak. But I'm going to close this astrology out really quick with the numerology, and then I'm going to go into the tarot, and I'm going to show you those cards, and we're going to go through those. So the astrology for the new moon it's on January the 21st, 2023. That equals an 11. And 11 is a master number. It's about our intuition and trusting our instincts. It gifts us with universal truths. It helps us talk. It helps us walk our talk. Okay? Now, when we break that down, we get a number 2. Okay? And 2 is a feminine number. It represents the high priestess. So 11 is a higher vibration. And to keep this higher vibration, we must spiritually evolve in order to keep it there. So before I go any further in that, I want to go to our tarot cards, and I'm going to show you those, and let's talk about those. I'll be right back.